Hey everyone, it's Monday, October 30th, 2017, and it's time to go to work on music. It's been a great day. I'm in a really good place and excited for a productive session. Really in the groove, time, which is just extremely helpful. Sorry, the camera just stopped recording there for a second for some reason. So I'm feeling great about that, and I've got a long session ahead of me today, which I'm excited about. A few hours here, so going to hit some online classes, update you guys with what I'm doing there. Going to hit a quick guitar practice and just move the dial on the mastery checklist, and then going to dive into the production front and try to get the bass line for the chorus section knocked out. I sketched out a few different ideas a couple days ago for bass lines for the chorus of this song I'm working on, and I'm thinking about mixing and matching some of them together to make like a little variation, but I'm going to listen back and just listen to the tone and the quality of the recording and the emotion of each take, and then make a judgment call. If I have more time beyond that, then I'll probably dive into the vocal front, but I'll update you guys at the end with what I accomplished. Appreciate you guys for tuning in as always. I'll see you guys in a few. Alright, really good session today. Again, just like I've said many times recently, just being able to show up to the session on time, stick to my plan, and also some of the lessons learned from last week of just being more careful about planning and prioritizing what I want to do with my time and what's a reasonable amount of time to spend on each thing so that I don't burn myself out or spend too much or too little time on anything has been really good. Now the interesting thing is, when I went back to listen to those chorus bass takes I was doing, I don't know if you guys have seen any of the other videos, but I was talking about how I felt I spent a little too long on that. And the interesting thing is I did a bunch of takes, none of which I think I'm going to use. Actually, I'm going to use part of one of them, so that was worth it. But what was funny is when I was tracking that, I was tracking this one idea, then I stopped, and then I was like, huh, what would it sound if it was like this? And I kind of just altered it, and I was like, let me just lay that down real quick to see how that would sound. So I laid down one pass of that, and when I listened back today, everything just paled in comparison to that. So maybe I spent the exact right amount of time on it. I don't know. That's just crazy. That's just the way that stuff goes, though. You know, you're like in the zone, and then you're like, oh, let me just do this one-off thing, and then it's just like, boop, out of the blue. You know, that's the thing that just pops for whatever reason. Part of it was the part is a little more interesting than the other part I was doing, but it's kind of blew me away. So what I did is I edited a section of that because I played through the entire chorus, and I could tell that it's basically just a repeating part. It's the same part over and over again, but the first time I played it through, it was like pretty much perfect in the pocket, right feel. But then as I kept playing it, there were some mistakes in some other parts, and I thought, that's not as good. So what I did is I just chopped and looped that first bit. But that actually worked perfectly because I'm only using like a 2-beat or 2-bar loop for the chorus guitar part. So the chorus guitar part is just one part that I then looped like 2 or 3 times to get it. And that's been part of my production style from the very beginning, just because of the nature of the way I started going down this path of being a solo artist using the loop station. I thought, let me make it sound how it's going to sound live, let me just, my first record I did all through the loop station. I just would record the loop and then we'd loop it in Pro Tools and then I'd track over that, if I had to. So, it's fun to keep pieces of that production process because it gives this track a unique flavor. I think it makes it sound a little more modern. And for some people that's going to be great, and for other people it's going to be like, oh, it's not you playing the whole time or something. And maybe in a perfect world I would just play everything straight through for the entire take. And there's moments of that on this track, but for this today it was just like, it couldn't have been more perfect. So I edited that down to be the right way and then put that repeating the right number of times and then added in the end part from one of the earlier takes. So it's sort of comped together. It's not a comp in the truest sense that I took one note from another take and then moved that into the, that first note or something like that, which is a little bit more intense when it comes to editing. This is just like taking a whole section and then just moving that piece around, which I like to do, honestly, as much as I possibly can, just to retain the integrity and not make things sound too edited or weird. But even listening to whole takes through that you did, it sometimes sounds like there's an edit even though there isn't. So it just goes to show how used to our ears, how used to comping our ears have become, and also just how that's sometimes just how things sound, so comping works. But what I did do is I took those crappy first chorus takes from a couple days ago, and I realized the rest of the first chorus that I had was great. It was just that there was one note that was off at the very beginning that I didn't like, and that's the part that I was really focusing on when I was doing those takes, because I knew that was the part I was trying to fix. And I thought, let me just retrack the whole first verse, pre-chorus and chorus. It's not that long, and then I'll kind of get in the groove, and then maybe if I get a better take, then I'll keep that. But I didn't. They were all crappy, except the first part was really good. So I did comp that piece. I replaced one phrase. I didn't just go in and replace a note or something crazy like witchcraft like that, where it's, I took the whole phrase, and that way the edit doesn't even sound like an edit. I'm just taking a phrase and moving it into a different part, which is extraordinarily common. And I don't know why I feel guilty about that, but I kind of do. Maybe it's the artistic side of things clashing with the production side of things, and I'll just, I'll sleep on that. Maybe I'll change it. Maybe I'll retrack it in the future. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll just see how I feel about that. But I just wanted to get it together today so that the track actually sounds how it's supposed to sound. And then if I come back in the mixing phase and I'm like, oh, that sucks, it's not, pure enough, then I'll change it. But honestly, it sounds kind of good. And if I'm just splicing different sections of the take instead of just like one syllable or something like that, those edits, I totally get why people do those edits, like in pop music and stuff like that, or just, commercial productions. Honestly, I'd like to stay away from that as much as possible, but maybe I'll get really into that, and that's like its own art form, I think, to me. And maybe I'll do something where it's like really obvious and I'll use it to the advantage or something. But there is, so like I was saying, with all the loop stuff and just me being one person, but it sounding like a whole band, there's already so many artificial elements in the tracks that I'm producing that it is nice to have some continuity and some humanity in certain parts, like a bass line that I'm actually playing, or especially the vocal. I think it's nice to have that as organic. I don't know what the right word is for that, but just human, as possible, rather than so digitized and spliced and all put together. But we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll update my philosophy on that. But got it on the online class front. Just move forward with email marketing strategies, just how to set up MailChimp, which is sort of the go-to email list server companion for many these days. And I've used it before. It works very well. But it's always good to get a professional perspective on it, and I did learn some new things, which was great. Then I moved to a really good guitar practice. I just focused on my note name memorization. Didn't get into any of the Vi Academy review stuff. I just didn't have it in me today, but I'll do some of that maybe on my way out. On my drive, just 1 or 2 minutes of review of that, just so I can get it in every day and stay consistent. I like the idea of that, just building the habit. And then worked on my riffs, realized that I wasn't getting those perfect, and so I really slowed them down, no metronome, just as slow as I needed, and just looped certain parts of the riff until I could get that first part perfect. So the first 2 bars or 2 beats, 2 to 6 beats of each riff are like pretty much perfect. I can play those 11 times in a row with no mistakes. But then as I move into the second piece, that's where things start to get dirty, and I've just realized like that takeaway from the Vi Academy of like playing things 11 times, like yeah, I spent a bunch of money to be there in a few days, and it's really time and energy intensive to go to those camps. But I've realized that like there's always like a few golden nuggets. Maybe it's only like 1 to 4 things or something, but those 1 to 4 things totally transform the way you develop, and they become integral to who you are as a player and an artist. And it's worth it. It's really costly, but it's worth it. And there's just those little gems that you get from guys who are on that level, where it's like maybe you're not getting your mind blown, for 4 days straight, but like those little bits and pieces, it really, really adds up. And yeah, so that whole playing things 11 times perfectly, it's forced me to get to a more granular level of, if I can't play this 11 times perfectly, why not? And what is the section or what is the part that's holding me back? And let me just work on that specific thing. Let me repeat that and dig into that. And it started getting me a lot more conscious of my muting with my left hand, because I was having a lot of strings ringing out, and I was having trouble controlling that with my right hand, because it's a really aggressive riff and aggressive part, and I kind of want to like give it that emotion and that movement with the right hand, but then I don't want tons of strings buzzing, with etc. So that was just so powerful, because it's really helped me being more deliberate about what the mistakes are, instead of just repeating something over and over and over again wrong, the wrong way. So that was really great. And then from there, I just took a short break, did some reading, got in on I did some singing practice, moved forward with my singing class from the Musicism online class. I just want to make 1-2 minutes of progress every time I study, just making sure that I get in the habit of moving that forward, moving the dial. And it's really powerful, because I probably only spent like 40 minutes on that stuff, maybe 30 minutes, but I got like an hour's worth of work done in that time, which is just exactly what I want right now. So yeah, then I hit the production front, did all the edits for the bass lines and the chorus part, and it's sounding really good. It's just, the track is feeling really good, it's got the right vibe, and I'm just so happy, guys, that I'm finally in a place where I can be like, this is how I want it to sound, and I'm going to work on it until it sounds that way. And I worked on it until it sounds that way, and now it sounds that way. I got the result. It's just something that I've wanted for so long, and I've worked. It's just been a lot. It's been a lot of investment that has gone into to getting to this place, and honestly, I feel like this is like the first time where I've even done it that way, and so I'm just excited for the future and excited to grow, and it's just really happening and really coming together right now, and it's just, I want to appreciate it, because it's been a lot of work. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys are out there grinding toward your goals, enjoying the process. Some days are better than others for sure, but that's what I'm out here doing, just having fun with it, whether I'm up, whether I'm down, just appreciating the growth cycle and how that goes. And today's an up day, and I'm just going to soak that up and roll with it and take the momentum into tomorrow. So looking forward to talking to you guys more then. Have a great night.